Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Kmart, and I want to talk about some basketball. And today, we are talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder, one of the best teams in the Western Conference, one of the best teams in the league, and a team that's still relatively young and sort of on the rise here in today's NBA landscape. Um, just real quick, if you haven't been paying attention, the Thunder are pretty much a powerhouse this season. Long story short, Chet Holmgren is healthy and producing after missing his first season with an injury. SGA continues to be an MVP candidate. Guys like Jalen Williams have really sort of broken out. Williams himself just in his second season, and I believe is the second leading scorer on that team. Guys in maybe smaller roles, Lou Dort, Josh Giddey, etc., have stepped up as well and are playing consistently, and the Thunder are one of the better teams in the league, and they are a team that, as of the recording of this video, does not have a losing streak of more than 2 games this season, right? So there's multiple instances where they've lost back-to-back games, but no more than 2 in a row. So the Thunder are playing extremely well. They are elite on both sides of the ball. I'm going to throw the stats up on the screen right now because there's really too many to list out one by one, but they are top 5 or top 6 in a slew of categories, both on the offensive and defensive end. They are one of the elite teams in the league. So, what's the problem, right? If the Thunder are so good, if they've got sort of young stars leading the way, all of them are under contract, everybody's playing well, etc., then what's up with the title of this video, which, according to the title, says I have a concern for the Thunder. And that part is true. And that concern for Oklahoma City, despite how well they're playing to this point, is rebounding. Or quite frankly, a lack thereof. Because the Thunder are not great in the rebounding department. It is one of the few weaknesses that this team appears to have. So far, about halfway through the season, they are 29th in offensive rebounds and 29th in second chance points. Now, if you were looking at just that part of their rebounding statistics, you could find a logical explanation. The Thunder are second in both field goal percentage and 3-point percentage, right? So it could stand to reason that a lack of offensive rebounds and a lack of second chance points is because there's simply fewer opportunities for offensive rebounds and second chance points and second opportunities in terms of possession, because Oklahoma City are shooting such a high percentage, right? If you make your shots, there's no chance for an offensive rebound. Yeah, I can follow that logic to a certain extent. The problem is, then you look at the rest of the rebounding numbers and it becomes relatively clear that that's not quite the case here, right? In terms of looking at sort of the defensive side of the ball, not just the offensive rebounding, the Thunder are 18th in defensive rebounds. They are 29th in the league in offensive rebounds allowed to their opponents, and they're 29th in the league in second chance points allowed as well. So you take all that together, the sort of offensive rebounding and the defensive rebounding, the Thunder are 28th in the league in terms of total rebounds and 26th in the league in terms of rebounds allowed to their opponent. The average differential for the Thunder to this point in the season in terms of that rebounding total is -4. Not really fantastic at this point. You don't really want to have a negative rebounding differential in general, but even that -4 number is a little misleading, I guess we'll use in terms of the word. If you break it down in terms of the splits in wins and losses, when the Thunder lose, that average differential in terms of rebounding is -10.8, and in wins, the differential is still negative. It's actually -1 for the Thunder across their 37 wins so far this season. So that brings me to the next point here, which is kind of the NBA equivalent of asking who cares, right? I just outlined how weak they are in terms of their rebounding statistics, but even in wins, they have a negative differential, but they're still winning, right? 37 wins on the season, despite having a negative rebounding differential, would lead one to question whether that rebounding number is relevant. And the answer is kind of, right? I mean, it's still a problem for the Thunder, but maybe not a big one if you're sort of looking at the whole of the team here. Of its 37 wins so far, OKC has recorded equal or fewer rebounds than their opponents 22 times. So realistically speaking, no, the team does not need to win the rebounding battle in order to actually win games. They've proven that so far through half a season, about 50 games or so. However, looking at it from the other perspective, the team has 0 instances on the season where it's out-rebounded its opponent, but still lost that game, right? So no, they don't need to win the rebounding battle to win games, but when they do win the rebounding battle, they have not lost. So you want as few weaknesses as possible, right? If you're going into the playoffs, which the Thunder, barring the greatest collapse in NBA history, will certainly be in, right? They are going to the playoffs in some capacity. So I think that's the point here. Is it a big deal? No, not really. But it is the one sort of glaring weakness in what has been an otherwise incredibly elite, unbelievably consistent team. And if that rebounding disparity can be addressed, mitigated, outright done away with even, as unlikely as that would be over the course of the second half of the season, then the Thunder really present no weaknesses in the playoffs other than a lack of experience, right? And there's nothing they can do about that. You've got guys who are going to the playoffs for their first or second time. That's the way that it is. You can't magically make those guys veteran players. But that's the point here, right? You want as few weaknesses as possible, especially going into the playoffs in the Western Conference. You've got teams like the Timberwolves, right? Like the Nuggets. Honestly, you could probably even throw teams like the Suns and the Lakers in there who have guys down low who are going to emphasize that rebounding disparity if you're a team that's weak on that front, like the Thunder are. So is it a big deal? Is it going to slow the Thunder down? I don't think so, but come playoff time, as I said, you want as few weaknesses as possible, so we'll see if it's something the Thunder can address. It's kind of too late to add a player to try and change that, unless they find someone maybe on the buyout market, but I think this is a problem that the Thunder can solve internally. They've got the guys, they've got the sort of the size and the athleticism to bring up those rebounding numbers on a more consistent basis. It's just a matter of whether they can do that without sacrificing some of their incredible levels of efficiency in other aspects on the offensive and defensive ends. So we shall see what the Thunder look to do, but in the meantime, feel free to let me know what you think. How do you evaluate the Thunder season so far? How far do you think they can go in terms of their playoff run? Because as I said, they're just about guaranteed to make it to that postseason. Do you believe that the rebounding issues I outlined are maybe something that could come to bite the Thunder in the ass, or is it just sort of a minor concern that they can push past anyway, and maybe I'm sort of overanalyzing it a little bit here? But either way, please feel free to let me know what you think. But other than that, thank you all so much for watching, and I will talk to you later.